The Super League was back with a bang this midweek. Lots of goals in some games, not as many in others, and teams setting their stall out early, making a statement. Happy Easter to all the Super League fans worldwide. I am joined by Steve, Jamie and Greavesy to discuss everything that has gone on this past week as Season 8 of the Super League kicked off. Lads, welcome. As it was game week 1, no point sort of looking at permutations for the league. So I thought if we start with a review just in alphabetical order, and that means we get to invite a very happy Welshman in straight away to discuss Bostock's Family Dragon 4. You guys said you were taking it seriously this year, Jamie, and you set your stall out early.
Yeah, great result for us. Obviously, when we went 2-0 down, it was a bit of a worry. But I think at the end of the day, like we said, I wouldn't say we took the pisses in, we didn't care. But obviously, we kind of argued amongst ourselves and chopped and changed. It wasn't that we didn't want to win. It was just we kind of lost the game and kind of, right, someone else wants to go now, we'll pick the team and we'll change the formation and everything again. We didn't really give it enough kind of attention. So all we basically said was we won't be as bad last year as we won't be as bad this year as we were last year. And I think we've showed that in game week 1 that, we won't be the mugs where everyone looks at the fixtures for the week and sees they play in Dragons and thinks, oh yeah, we'll have 3 points here, which we probably were last season. I think transfers, kind of the last few games going into the season last year, when we kind of said, transfers was talked about, obviously we got together and said, right, what do we need to do? And although we scored quite a few goals, we said, right, we got to tidy up the defence. That's got to be, the kind of first and foremost. So we kind of looked around the league and thought, right, what can we do? And we saw Lucio wasn't really playing for Gazelles. So he was always our number 1 target. So as soon as we could talk transfers, we got that one sewn up. And then we were lucky to do a deal with Steve for Davids. Obviously, he got Bowyer in return, so I think it worked out well for both of us. So I think defensively, although we still conceded 2, which again, keeping a clean sheet in the Super League's not easy. So, we're not too concerned about that. But having Davids and Lucio in has made us, massively stronger in that department. I've already, like I said the other day, I think our defensive options, our back 6 with people like Said, Zauri, Ronnie Johnson who can come in. I think we're so well stocked in that department. Obviously going forward is going to be the issues. I think, Joe Cole, I think he's still going to be kind of hit and miss because of how young he is. I think everyone knows how good he gets for season 2. He's not going to do that every week. You're obviously going to have, 6s here and there. But I think we showed this week that, as I say, we won't be, the bums and the walkover, and, we can have a decent season.
No, it's interesting because obviously a lot of us chat off air, if you like, as well throughout the week. We'll all have different discussions. There's various WhatsApp groups and DMs that we all have. And one of the things that I said to you actually on the show was, or it might have been on one of your tweets afterwards, I can't quite remember. It was interesting how I agree, you've now fully stacked up your defensive talents, and I know it's only one game, but that suddenly allowed you to go off and score 4 goals. You still conceded 2, so you might think, what? That a defensive element, it's not quite done perhaps exactly what you wanted it to do in game 1, but having that foundation let you go off and score the 4 goals that last year you always threatened to do without necessarily carrying out most of the time.
Yeah, I think I say I'm not too bothered about the conceding the 2 goals, away from home, especially against Bostock, who were in the playoffs last season. As I say, it's hard enough to keep a clean sheet at home, but away from home especially, if you keep a clean sheet there, you've done great. But as I say, I think those players, Davids and Zelius were quality, and they say they've allowed then the forward players to probably have a bit more of the ball. I think Carragoon is coming on at half-time. All right, he may not have had any assists, but he had over double the amount of touches that D'Alessandro had first half. And I think he's obviously got on the ball and allowed them, Joe Cole and Archie Back, who look at the commentary, had a kind of hand in every goal that we had, and he's allowed those players kind of get on the ball more as well, and allowed us then to to get those 3 goals. And I know a lot of people alluded to, obviously the first 30 odd minutes we were 2-0 down, but then if you look at the second half, it was as convincing as any other half there was in week 1. So yeah, we delighted. Obviously, I thought Kieran was brilliant on the comms. I didn't really agree with his assessment after the game, but that's a Northern Burn saying if Northern Burn beat us, it kind of shows we haven't improved, because we're kind of still kind of our form's all over the shop, which I didn't quite agree with that. I think, going away from home, I think most teams will always be happy to take a point. So if we were to lose on Sunday and we had 3 points out of the first 6 away from home, we'd still be happy. So yeah, I didn't quite agree with that, but we're confident now going into it. I think there's a lot of pressure on Northern Burn. Obviously, they made some good deals in the summer. I think, Ian, in all the carnations of the Super League, he's always had a really good squad, and he's always kind of underperformed. So I think, especially, I know Ledisford, obviously a quality team, but I think the pressure is massively on him for Sunday. If he wasn't, to get anything from Sunday's game, 2 games at home to start, I think the pressure will be on him. So I think he'll be worrying about tactics and things. So we're going to look to take advantage now and hopefully get another 3 points on Sunday.
If I can just press you for a final comment on Bostock, obviously from your side, you've gone and got the result against the team that finished 4th. They were in the playoffs last season. From their side, is it just a case of, look, it was game week 1, or given that they have lost to the team that finished bottom, despite the fact you have clearly on paper improved, is there some concerns there already?
I think he'll be concerned about his second half performance. I don't suppose, losing to the bottom side last year, because, as I say, we are a kind of totally different outfit this season. But I think the second half performance, how dominating we were, I think he will be slightly concerned. I'm not sure if he, I think a lot rests on Vieri this season for Bostock. Obviously, he's injured. I don't know how long that's for. I think Brozek is a tremendous piece of business. He got rid of Raquelme, who didn't do much for him, and who's never really done much in the Super League in general. So I think that's a great bit of business. But yeah, I think he'll be more concerned about the second half performance more than the kind of result as a whole, I think, in terms of how dominating we were. But it's only game week 1. We're certainly not going to be panicking. Plenty of time left.
The eagle-eyed amongst the viewers will have noticed while Jamie was talking that co-chair Ryan joined us. Good evening, pal.
Good evening, gents. Good evening. How are we doing?
Very, very well, thank you. And less noticeable, a late arrival to the crowd, Ian Edwards has joined us as well. Good evening.
Hey, mate. You all right? Hello, everyone.
Yeah, looking very dapper, sir.
As always, mate. Yeah, I like to make an effort for you.
Didn't say that to me, Clive. Fucking hell.
There's a difference between the nice sort of vest, almost waistcoat type, compared to what I believe is just is it football strip you're wearing there? Is it Bolton's, or is it like a 6-a-side team that you're playing for, or what's going on? I couldn't quite see
Madrid,
the on the
Real
screen.
Madrid.
Is it Real Madrid? Is it?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
You seem to support teams with financial difficulties a lot, mate.
Steve wins the battle of t-shirts tonight anyway.
Steve, just say something so you pop up on the screen to show everyone what you're wearing.
Yeah, it wasn't purposely. I did put it on earlier on to get out to park with little lads, so it wasn't just for this evening's pleasure.
Ryan, let's, if I can, I'll bring you in for game 2. A team that I tipped last year and have done again this year was Halls, and they kicked off with a very good 4-1 win over Churchtown. Do they look the real deal this year? I know, again, we're only game 1.
Yeah, let me just explain something tonight. What do you call it? My next door neighbour had a little bit of a fall, and I'm on taxi duty to pick her up from the hospital when she does get. So if I have to dive off and just disappear at any point, then yeah, that's where I've gone. But yeah, Halls.
Some insightful comment on the Super League.
Sorry.
Just say maybe she has some insightful comment on the Super League as well.
Probably not, but Hull's. Yeah, I thought they looked really, really good actually. I kind of expected more from Churchtown as well, but yeah, I mean, Kieran kind of said it on the comms really that they just didn't really have a weakness in that squad, and not only did they kind of look good on paper, as soon as the match kicked off, they looked like there's only ever going to be one winner of that game. I mean, they already had the likes of NDI and things like that. They could afford to let players like Tizalco go. I think he's done really good business, and I think they've kind of definitely stepped up a level in their performance. I don't think we'd have seen anything like that from them last season, that dominating. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those you don't want to get carried away. I'm sure Jamie, I missed the start of him, but I'm sure he was saying the same. It's one game. You don't want to get carried away kind of thing. I'm pretty sure Jens won't want to get carried away. If he starts doing that 3 out of the 4 first games, then I mean that's when he's really got something to bang the drum about. But one game in, and it was a really, really good win, as was Dragons, as was Dudley Hill. Yeah, if they can put a run together, that's when you can start talking about it. But yeah, on paper, 100% looked fantastic.
Just to bring you up to speed, Jamie completely lost his shit and was running around the room when we was talking about his game. So yeah, his head's fully gone. Just one more thing, Ryan. A word on Kieran. Always great to hear from him on comms. And what I find in a great co-commentator is they have insightful comment. You don't necessarily have to agree with them, but you enjoy listening to them. And I thought it was very good the other night.
I thought it was shit, to be honest. No, he was very good. Obviously, a bit of a break from tradition. It's usually our good friend Jamie on week 1 of the Super League. Unfortunately, he wasn't sure what time I think he was concerned that he would have run into his work time if he'd have been on comms. So, yeah, we had Kieran on, but I think Kieran did a good job. He's always good value, isn't he? He's always upbeat, and he always bangs the drum about his own squad. He's quite confident about his team this season. I think he has improved from last season. Whether he's improved enough to get into the top 6 is a different question. Definitely has got the ability to be in it there or thereabouts. But yeah, comms on Sunday, absolutely fantastic. On Wednesday, sorry, it was absolutely fantastic.
Jamie, just clear up a conspiracy theory for us, please. Rumour has it that there was no clash with work. You were just concerned after the way you'd all been bleating on about how good the Dragons were going to be. You didn't want to turn up and see them lose week 1.
Got the job done off Ifey, didn't we? Job done is like, it was even better that we just let him go into a 2-goal lead, let everyone else think, oh yeah, it's the same old Dragons. And then we just pumped him. So job done, really, innit? That's what made it even better. But I hope Scott weren't too upset with the video because he didn't like it or anything. So
the eagle-eared amongst the viewers will have noticed Jamie didn't confirm that there was a work clash. So
he didn't answer the question, did he? He didn't answer the question at all.
He did not want to be on comms for game week 1 this season. Steve, let's bring you in. Game 3. And 3 was the magic number because it was Dudley 3, Aston 0. You must be delighted with that start.
Yeah, I mean, with greatest respects to Alf, I don't think I could have had a more favourable game to open up with, really, just considering obviously where he finished last year. But really happy with the performance. I put a tweet out yesterday, Martin was shocked that not one of my players got a 10 last season. And
I wasn't shocked.
Pardon?
I wasn't shocked.
No, I wasn't either. I wasn't either. I thought I was pointing out the obvious, but massive that both my wing backs coming and doing well. I think it shows a lot that 6 of my 7 transfers played one off bench as well. It shows where I think I've got a lot more depth, but yeah, delighted to get that monkey off my back with my own form as well. This time last season, I were absolutely going off the edge of a cliff after the first game. So massively delighted with the win, obviously. Again, can't take anything out of it. Amoroso's looking to keep his place for Sunday, if I'm honest, with a 5, but you can't change what were in honesty, probably my most dominant display since being including last season. So yeah, delighted with it, mate, really.
And, we all get pressed to make these predictions. Unfortunately for Alpha Asta, we're widely tipped to be the team to finish bottom. I'll keep saying it throughout. We have only done game one. But from what you saw, do they look like a team that's going to be down the bottom? Or do you think, like I asked Jamie about Bostock, it's just one game and you think he can turn it around quite quickly?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, when we were all doing his little bits of predictions that Ryan were throwing his fishing rod out, wanting us all to do, I did stick Aston at the bottom, especially when he said that most of his transfers, he wasn't going to play too many of them. I know he hadn't brought too many in, but I think there might have only been Nedved, really. He was saying he was sticking with a lot of people from last season. He seems to have, in my opinion, gone a bit. He's talking about squad rotation and things like that after one game. Does it show where his head's at a bit? What's the word I'm looking for? Is he already resigned to the fact that he thinks it might happen? So he's just trying to find a little bit of a formula to try and pick as many points up as he can. But unfortunately, yeah, I did predict his stats in, but it is only game one, like you say, and he's more than capable enough, as we found, as I found last season when he took 6 points off me. To pull results out of the bag.
Previously, as defending champion, you will have a good eye for the teams that were in and around competing for it. Two of those met midweek, and Gazelles, who were obviously favourites in season one, they pulled out a 3-1 win over Fulchester. Very impressive by them. Do you agree?
Craig's a really good business. I'm impressed by the squad he's got. I would put a couple of different. The three up front is adventurous, but with the injuries and suspensions that Mac has got, it was a bit of a formality, really. You can't take the heart out of CDM and not anything. You can't play a team like Gazelles with Emerson and Protton as your two main defensive midfielders, and especially with that formation, because the CDM's the key. So if he had Butt and Biscan, I think it would be more of a close game.
So you think that the nature of the performance and the result, there's still plenty of questions about where both sides are this year?
Yeah, I liked that he didn't play Balak too much last year, and when they clicked on and showed his stats, Balak's stats look really good for season 2. And if he gets Seed on fire and anywhere near what he's capable, those two will be a really solid centre midfield partnership. And he's got Keane and he's got Jeremies in reserve if he only wants to play one CDM. And they're two top draw CDMs to sit in front of. He's playing the Brazilian lad next to Ferdinand, but he's got Materazzi to come in. And personally, I rate Materazzi above Lucio, so I feel he improved that area there. So he's got a very good. He's improved his defence in my eyes, and he's already got the two best fullbacks in the game. And he's got a Kluivert who was on fire last year, and I'm a massive fan of Raul. Figo is a bit hit and miss, but it's the making. He's just added more quality to what was already a scary team.
So you expect Gazelles to be fully in the title picture and Fulchester still in the playoff picture?
Yeah, Fulchester, they've done really good business. I'm a big fan of Dalmet, as Steve knows, because I tried to bloody poach him every second I could, but I didn't have Steve Finnan. So, but he's got Donati in, and Donati is another Rolls Royce of a midfielder. Him and Veron will complement each other, as well as if there's any player on the game that will get work out Beckham, it's going to be Maka, because he loves wingers rather than wing backs. So he's going to get him firing. But it's just at the start of the season, if everyone's not fit, you're a bit of a handicap, aren't you? So you just got to hope. Well, he's just got to hope when everyone gets fit or I feel everyone who was in the playoffs and that didn't have the chance to progress a bit further are having the hangovers for the suspensions. Because I was blessed enough to get to the final. Yes, Cannavaro picked up picked up a yellow card, but I transferred him out. He would have been my only suspension for the start of the season, where a few people had suspensions knocking on from doing well last season. So it was a bit of a slap in the face for the league to carry them suspensions over, because you go in afresh, but you've got that then handicap of a top player in your team being out. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? You get a knife in the back for doing well. So
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, obviously, my team were missing just Montero through suspension. Obviously, Emerson was injured as well. But just having Montero suspended, it was only one player, but I felt it was harsh to be punished for going further in the season. And, you know, when you look
to be fair,
they had a much lengthier absentee list than I had.
To be fair with Montero, you've just saved him being suspended the next game. He probably would have, he's probably would have, he's due a red. He hasn't had a red in a while. So,
Mr. Edwards, if I can bring you into the conversation at this point, we have next up on the list Haggis 1, Slops 1. Slops obviously had that major falling off a cliff at the end of last year. Haggis appear to, again on paper, have improved the squad. Do you feel it was a chance missed by Haggis at home opening day not to get a win?
I do, and I think as Rob mentioned in the comments on a live chat on Wednesday night, everybody fancied a Haggis victory. I mean, I think even Rob predicted a 2-0 defeat for himself. So yeah, I do, and especially finishing the game with 10 men, you would have thought Haggis could have maybe pinched it as well. He will look at certain positives, and he's brought a big name striker in, and that big name striker has got him a goal. But yeah, I think he kind of stuttered through last season, and he would have been hoping to hit the ground running at the start of this. He hasn't, and I think the slots will take some heart from that. But yeah, missed opportunity for Haggis. This disciplinary problem for slots though is a bit of an issue for them.
Why do you think it is? Do you think it's something ingrained in certain players? Because let's face it, I think Ryan touched on it when he was discussing tactics. Most people, I would imagine, use hard tackling, but no one seems to get anywhere near the discipline issues that they have at Slops.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be down to the aggression levels of the players that you've got in your team as well. And I mean, I haven't looked at his players in detail to know which ones have got the higher levels of aggression. But it's something that he had in the old version of the game as well. Probably even more so. He's the only guy I can remember to have 2 red cards in the same game. Doesn't often happen, but it does happen to Rob's teams. So there is something there.
Was it Huddersfield that ended up getting 3 or 4 men sent off in one game last year as well?
I had a couple and an injury or 2, didn't he? Yeah, he was down to a few.
they had 3 against me.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether Rob's one of these guys who gives. You can imagine him giving a team talk to his guys, and the guys, they run out of the tunnel screaming and slapping their heads and all that sort of stuff, you know, old school.
Full sort of Vinnie Jones in Mean Machine kind of
That's
thing.
it, yeah. They just stay them in goal.
Oh, do you know what? As soon as he watches this, I can now see him reenacting a scene from Mean Machine just to play up to it as well. Oh dear me. Greavesy, I'll bring you back in because the penultimate game to look at from midweek was our 1-1 draw. We obviously both went into it hoping to get off to a good win against a side that done well. Obviously, you were defending champions. And I know Kieran said I should be happy with the draw. I wasn't, and I explained why. I know you weren't happy with the draw. On reflection, do you think it was the right result, or do you still feel like we out shithoused you for a change?
I was robbed. Quite blatantly, your keeper had a good game for a change. And at the end of the day, anyone expecting to come to the Chip Chop car park and pick up points is living in a dream world. I lost 1 game last year, and that was when you shithoused me and beat me with 1 shot on target. I lost 4 games in the league all season. apart I lost 1 in the playoffs, so 5 in total. So people expect to pick up points. It's a fallacy. But it's the roll of the dice. Everyone knows when you're 1-0 up for so long and you're having such dominance of possession, you're going to concede. And unfortunately, that was the case. And it was the 89th minute, and it had to be an Mpenza because I hate him. Because I've spent shitloads of money on him in the past, and he never scores goals when I buy him. I've always called him out for being a fraud. He done fuck all when he was at Midlothian. As much as people laud him, he did fuck all there. He was sitting in Vieri's shadow, and he's gone to you, and you fingered him, and he's playing well. And that's all I can say on that.
From my perspective, I was frustrated by our own performance. I thought we definitely weren't as creative as I would have liked us to be. We definitely were nowhere near as clinical as I would have liked us to be. We obviously had the goal wrongfully disallowed. Kieran Dyer would never have been offside in that position. But
long arrows, mate. Long arrows.
It's not the first time that you've had a referee onside in your time in the Super League. So, but you know, we move on. We're already now playing catch up. We're 2 points behind the teams at the top of the table, and we play one of those this week, and hope for an improved performance and a much more effective game from our attacking players. Obviously, we'll look to preview the games in a little while where we can talk about team selection and stuff. But yeah, I was probably as frustrated as you were in both performance and result.
Yeah, I've had a chat to Pablo as I put out. I'll give him a slap and told him that them performances are expected in Ireland, but not in Boston. That's not allowed. 6s won't slide. But to be fair, I won the league and I only had 2 players in the top 14 average ratings. So I didn't have a very well performing side. 6 of my 7 new signings started, where a lot of people's new signings didn't make the cut, which I made a point of, although my transfer business was questioned, every player I brought into the team would be a first team player. I brought no one in as a filler. I've got Kesman's the one I do prefer to play with one up front, and I don't overly like having a forward centre who isn't on the midfield selection to play as an AMC. So that's why he's waiting. If I get Ronaldo firing, he won't play much. But if Ronaldo has a dip, he'll come in. So other than that, I feel I've got good options going rather than what I did last year.
The final game we need to look at from midweek before we preview the upcoming fixtures is Northern Burn 0, Leddersford 1. Ian, is it a case of new season, same story?
It's hard for me to argue against that, isn't it? I don't think we were that bad. I don't think we were that good. I think we have come up against the side who finished last season the strongest and had more about them than anybody else. So I would have been happy going into the start of the season, first game, home fixture, and I took anyone, because I think the way we finished last year, I'd have fancied us against anyone at home. So yeah, a little bit disappointed in the start. It kind of felt a little bit like when you've got the slightly bigger kid fighting the slightly smaller kid, and his arms are a bit bigger, and he can just keep them at length. And I felt like Hodgie just kept my side at arm's length all game, and he had that edge of control to it. But my guys didn't play badly. We created chances. Same old story. We can't score goals. We were pretty tight at the back without our new signing Cannavaro. So, we'll go into the next game without, being too flustered, without making too many changes, and hope to go again and make a slight improvement.
I think it's fair. One of the comments made just before you logged on was about how you traditionally do have a good squad, at least comparatively. You're at least in the mix in terms of having one of the better squads on paper. So the flip of the question I've asked some of the other people, as you were on the losing side of the result, are you treating it that was just one game and there's a long way to go?
Definitely. I think we've shown that we can put a bunch of results together with this team, and I think I've improved the team. I mean, we're certainly a lot stronger team 11 and squad-wise than the one I took over at the start. So I think we've had a couple of good windows. I mean, there was one period last season where somehow I managed to get a Manager of the Month award as well at Northern Burn. So I know we've got it in us to put those sort of results together. So, but yeah, I can't argue with the fact that I've very often had some great players and not got great results all the time. But, you know, keep plugging away in hope.
Let's look ahead to Sunday then. And Jamie, if I can ask you on game number 1, we've got Bostock Stanley versus Slots. Should be an interesting game.
Yes, as I say, Sloths, I think they'll be encouraged. I think before Sunday, they probably thought, oh, this could be a tough season for us, but they've gone away to Haggis and they've got, obviously, I thought a decent draw. I thought, obviously, I know what the stats at the end look well in Haggis' favour, but I think they had like 4 or 5 shots when they went down to 10 men. But I think they'll be confident. Bostock are home, are they?
Bostock are at home, yes.
You know, I think early on, I know I said earlier that they won't be panicking, which I stand by. But I do think he'll be looking at this, especially with the Sloths. I'm thinking this is a kind of must-win game early on, being at home. So I think there is a bit of pressure on Bostock going into this, where they need that 3 points if Vieri is out. Obviously, it will be, imagine Trezeguet come in, but I don't think he's quite Vieri. You'd expect Bostock to have too much, but I don't think it'll probably be as comfortable as people would have thought before game week 1, before anything was played. I think looking at the results, I think Slots will be thinking, we got half a chance here.
As we normally do, before we've seen team selections and stuff, I could just ask you all for a score prediction, starting with you, Jamie.
I'll go 2-1 Bostock.
Greasy?
I'll go 2-1 Sloths.
Steve?
Yeah, 2-1 Bostock.
I'm going to say it will finish 1-1 on that one, I'm afraid. Game number 2, Ian, if I can ask you for comment on the... Oh, sorry, Ian, no. I didn't ask you your prediction. My apologies. Oh, he's not there. I can see on the other screen he's disappeared. We'll bypass that one then.
Sorry, lads. I realised I left the oven on earlier. I've got something cooking, so I've been in and out. I really apologise about that. I'll be disappearing again in a minute. I'm sorry.
That's all right. If I can press you quickly then, first of all, for just a score prediction, nothing more for Bostock versus Sloths.
Bostock at home versus Sloths. I think they'll bounce back from that dodgy second half. I think they'll get a home win, 2-0.
Okay, and then I was going to ask you for comment on Churchtown versus Fulchester, if you've got time before the oven explodes.
Sorry, yeah. Well, with Fulchester with everybody back at full strength-ish, I guess. Yeah, looks like maybe a draw to me, that.
Okay. Steve, what are you thinking going into that game?
I think it totally depends on what Macca's got coming back in its side. He obviously had a couple of players out, but Kieran, I don't think he was as bad as the 4-2 suggested. So I'm going to go 1-1. I'm going to stay on fence with that one.
Greasy?
Fulchester will win 3-0.
And Jamie?
2-1 Fulchester.
I'm going to say 2-0 Fulchester for that one. Steve, coming back to you, the third game on the card is Dudley at home to Haggis. What's the team looking like going into it, Pat?
Same, exactly the same tactic. You can't change. Like I said, I was tempted to stick Gustavo Lopez in. I certainly wasn't tempted to pull Osadebe back and put Viduka in. But regardless of how badly Amoroso played, everybody were great around him. So we're going exactly the same and confident of getting a win, considering how depleted Sloss were. Aggies at home, and we should have beat them last season at home. I'm really confident of getting 3 points, which I probably wouldn't have said before last season against the Haggis side. But yeah, I'm confident of getting 3 points.
And a score prediction, please.
I think going off Wednesday, I think I'm looking at my squad morale. We're in good spirits. I'm going to go 3-1.
Greavesy,
I think 2-0 Dudley.
Ian,
3-0 Dudley.
Jamie.
7-0 Haggis.
My opinion on it, for what it's worth, is I think it will actually be quite a tight game. And purely because you're at home, I'm going to say 1-0 Dudley. The fourth game is Gazelles v Devils. As I sort of mentioned earlier, both Montero and Emerson are back, so I have a full fit squad. So there's no complaints there. I've been looking at formations because I could see a lot of people are very similar to what I was looking to do this year. So I've been looking at a few different things. I have tweaked it slightly, and I might look to adopt maybe a home formation and away formation this year. But I don't think we performed to the best of our abilities midweek. I definitely weren't as creative as I would have liked, as I said, and didn't finish enough chances. So we have looked to address that.
I've had a chat to Emmanuel Petit, and he's going to let Ronaldinho out of his pocket for you.
Thanks.
So he'll be available for your team.
Appreciate that. Gazelles, obviously, I've got to put full respect to them. They're a very good team on paper. They had a very good result, so they're in form. The fact that we beat them in the playoffs last year means absolutely nothing because it's new squads now, new season. But do people have criticised the limited transfer business that Devils have done this year? But I think I've done what I set out to do, and that was improve in my two main defensive areas. So with that in mind, I'm more confident in games that even as an all-round squad. For example, last year it was Montero and Brown. Now, as Steve said himself, he likes the look of Montero and Juliano as a pair, sorry. And then when you've got Wes Brown as the backup instead of Novotny, I think it looks stronger. And with that in mind, I'd like to think if the tactic pulls off the way I hope it will, I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet because Gazelles are very good. So I'm going to say that we'll get a 3-1 win. Jamie, what are you thinking for Gazelles v Devils?
2-2 draw.
Ian?
I'd go along with the Desmond, yeah. I think, yeah. Goal. One thing you can say is there'll probably be a few goals. I think you'll split them evenly.
Greavesy?
3-0 Gazelles.
Steve?
3-2 Devils.
Interesting. Okay. Well, thanks, lads. Steve, if I can ask you to build up to what I think potentially, just looking at the list, could be game of the night. Halls v Ledisford, please.
Yeah, it's hard to split. I mean, obviously, they both had really good away wins. I do think Ledisford played a stronger side, considering obviously how Ian finished the season. Halls at home, I think they're going to be very, very difficult to break down, and I wouldn't be surprised, as good as Greavesy was, to see the end of the season. Jens ended up with the best home record this season just because of how strong his squad's got. You know, he got a tune out of a couple of players that obviously probably not notable for doing so season one, and then letting obviously Sigalko go, but bringing somebody like Van Bommel in for him, it's just added to his strength in terms of his defensive area. And yeah, I'm going to go for a tight 2-1 Halls win. Yeah.
No, I completely understand why you go that way. Jamie, what are you thinking for this one?
Yeah, I'm going with the 2-1 the Hools.
Ian? Oh, no, he's gone to check that turkey again, Greavesy.
I think Hodgie's formation, depending if he said he's not got anyone sitting, but normally the way he plays well against the 2-7-1 that Halls played last on Wednesday. If Halls play the 2-7-1, Hodgie will win 1-0. If not, it will be a 2-2 draw.
I'm purely because, see, these are the two I've tipped to finish first and second this year. That's how highly I rate both teams and both managers. So again, only because they're at home, I'm going to give Halls the edge and say they will win 2-1. Greavesy, if I can come back to you, because the penultimate game on the list is Locomotive, second home game in a row. This time you play Astor.
Yeah. I've got to thank you, Fifey. You poked the bear in our encounter, and I've put I've gone. I am the Locomotive side is attacking. It's one of the few times I'm playing with one holder midfielder. I'm playing with 2 AMCs. I've got 1 striker and 2 MCs. I've gone balls out. There's not much more attacking you'll see from me, and yeah, it goes from there. I'm playing I've got Ricardinho and Aymar playing together in centre midfield, which is enough flair. It's got more flair than a Ric Flair Bukkake pie, isn't it?
So if
You
I
can shove
work
your
that
archie back up your ass. That's all I can say.
if I work that out right, then you're playing a 4-1-2-2-1.
I'm playing a 2-3-2-2-1.
Right. Okay. So you're playing with like the attacking wing backs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And you comment obviously on the flair. What score prediction are you going for?
I won't be happy if it's less than 4-0.
Wow. Ian, you're back with us. Hopefully there was no incident in the kitchen. We're just building up to Locomotive v Astor. Could I ask you for a score prediction?
Yeah, you can't see anything other than close to what Greavesy has just predicted. I think whether he gets the 4 or whether he stays at 3, but yeah, comfortable win. I think that's a shame. It's a bad start for Alf after the back of defeat. It's not where you want to be going.
And he said he's rotating already. That's the bit that's because he commented online because I said that he's got because I'm going to be playing Del Vecchio and Cassano behind Ronaldo, and depending on half time, I might bring Kesman on and put Ronaldo at AMC. So I've said, I've got the Roma, your favourite Roma attackers coming against you, haunt you from your home saves. And he said, if I'd have known that, I'd have been playing Kluzny and Batty. I said, well, if they're better than what you're playing, why aren't you playing them? And he said, I'm rotating. So if you're rotating second game in, it's not cricket, is it?
It's not. I think you need that solid base at the start of the season. It's a mistake I've made in the past, reacting too early to a defeat, and you never get it back because you chop and change at the start of the season and you go from defeat to defeat. I think you need to sort of have some sort of settled idea of what's going on.
Well, he said, unfortunately, in the position he's in, you've got to know your best 11. That is my bit. Last season, I didn't have one. I've got a more competitive team now than what I had last year. In my team, I knew, bearing suspensions and injuries, it's the reason I didn't want Kaladza starting. Kaladza couldn't start for me because he's always a yellow card. So you can't bet on that. And Petit is just as good as what Kaladza is. So I had Kaladza and Decor in the core of CDM with Contra and Pancaro. And depending on fitness, Kaladza could either go in for Pancaro or Petit. So that was the best core that I had with Cannavaro and Larson. The rest, I just picked on who I thought was going to do well in that game. But if you don't know the spine of your team, you're going to struggle.
Yeah, I think Al's always had good performances out of his DMs as well, and he doesn't know which ones are his best ones in that position. So if you're not sure who your best players are in that core area of your team, that's when he's possibly in a little bit of trouble.
But whenever you've talked to him, he's always said, "Oh, I've got too many DMs." So if he's not happy with the DMs that he's got, why hasn't he tried to improve that area? Yeah, that's the bit. I wasn't happy with my strikers last season, so I've changed them. I kept Inzaghi because he got a shithouse goal for me in the final, and I know he can do that.
Yeah.
So if you're not happy with an area, change it. I let Cannavaro go because he had a 7.2 average last season.
I think Al's
So
problem now, though, is he's got no bargaining chips left, has he? He's let Duff go, he's let Shevchenko go. He's going to struggle to bring in anyone now. He's got no one to really trade off.
Well, there's always a chance, because I thought that but then I managed to get to court for Kurzakov and Evaluation, and because he thought he had too many DMs, and now he's traded Kurzakov for Ambrosini, so he's traded it for another DM. So there's always, if you've got a transfer available, there's always a chance that a player you want will come up in the market.
I agree. I agree with Ian. I don't think he's got any bargaining chips left.
Well,
someone like I'm trying to think who I've still got. Not even someone like maybe Rui Costa. Someone might be interested in.
I put a lot of interest in Rui Costa. The problem is, I think with Alf, bless him, is sometimes he's unrealistic about certain players and then not realistic about the others.
Is
it
the
ones he could use? Yeah, well, it is. Yeah, one time there's a player that isn't starting for him, but he's not willing to let him go. Well, I'll put it this way: I put an offer in at the start when the transfer window opened. I'm a big fan of Mehmet Scholl. I'm a bigger fan of Del Vecchio, but I thought there might be a chance of being able to get Mehmet Scholl because he's very good at midfield in MC as well as AMC. So I thought, yeah, it's worth a punt. So I offered him Franco because I knew he, by past comments, he's quite keen on it. And he said, no, I'll trade Del Vecchio. So I snapped his hand off because I know last season, Del Vecchio was Alf's best performer in the league. I think he got 6 goals and he was in an A squad and he played a variety of positions. And he's the typical locomotive player. He's a nasty bastard who runs all day. He'll tackle everything. He's strong and he knows where the goal is. So he's one of those players, even when you play against him on home saves, he'll always pop up with a goal. And you can't put price on that. So when he said Del Vecchio, I thought, yes, I'll have that instead of a 31-year-old Mehmet Scholl. Thank you very much. But then you inquire about other players, and he says that he needs a good quality DM, but he doesn't. He's got enough in his squad that he could offer a couple of players to try and get one. So
2-for-1 deals, 2-for-1 deals in this incarnation of the Super League are a little bit harder, aren't they? We've all got a lot of players. 2-for-1 deals I don't think are what they used to be.
Yeah.
If I can rein it back into to finish off the preview to the Locomotive Astor game. Jamie, have you got a score prediction for this one, please?
2-0 Locomotive.
Steve?
Yeah, 3-0 Boston.
Ryan's back with us after completing his neighbourly duties. I'm just asking for a score prediction, please, for Locomotive v Astor. He is there. He's just not listening to us. Oh, he's got the dog now. Ryan, can you hear us?
I think I'm back, but my 4G wasn't the best. Locomotive versus Astor. Who's it on?
Locomotive.
It's a home win, isn't it? Close though. 2-1. 2-1. Locomotive very rarely blow away opponents.
Have you seen my tactic though, Ryan?
I've not. I'll be honest with you.
I posted it online. I think it's a firm favourite of yours. Is the first I'm going balls out.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I've had a really rough couple of days with work and all sorts. So yeah, I literally saved the game after Wednesday's show and fired it over to Martin on Thursday afternoon, and I've not actually looked at anything at all.
I'm playing 2-3-2-2-1.
Ah, the classic. Mr. Edwards played that last week.
I'm playing it on Sunday and all.
I'm glad you're sticking with it, man. It's a favourite of mine. It's yeah. As long as you've got some good passers in your team, it should work, man.
You'd like it because, well, you're like I've called the tactic file is Locomotive brackets Phoenix Rises. Just for
I mean, the one thing I will say about, and Fifey always alluded to, he used to call Phoenix boring Phoenix because our games very rarely ended up 4-3 or, I either won 3 or 4-0 or it was a real scrappy 0-0, 0-1.
Is this when I called your second title win the worst title defence of all time?
Yeah, after like 5 games or something, I had 1 win or 2 wins. I was down in 9th, and Fifey made this drastic kind of. This gets brought up every time I come on.
Yeah, I'm Ryan. I'm playing because Christian Warnes. Steve sold me a broken player, so I'm already looking for him to see.
Hang on a minute. I've also got a 5, so we're even there. It's even.
You can't judge players on one game, but you can't do that.
He's out for 3 months, Ryan. He's out for 3 months on one game. He played 40 minutes. He's out for 3 months. There must have been something. He must have known he was injured. That's why we transferred him out. But yeah, I've got Klompy and Lurson at centre half, with Decor holding. Sorin and Zambrotta on the wing backs, with Ricardinho and Aymar MC, with Del Vecchio and Catano supporting Ronaldo up front.
Del Vecchio and Cassano. Depends what he does. I mean, I said this a lot of times now, but I've got the players to put an half-decent team out, even if that is a narrow team. He looks squad rotation when in this league is mad. I think he played a fair amount of his good players on Wednesday and got absolutely steamrolled. I think everyone knows that if they're going to be challenging this season, they need to be taking 6 points off Astor. And Alf should be listening to Woodamore, which is something.
That's scary.
You know what? I don't understand. The bit that confuses me the most is that last season he mostly played Shevchenko at AMC. Then he brings in Pavel Nedved and plays him up front.
Oh,
yeah, I think he's reasoning for that one. No, he's reasoning for that one when he had that cameo at Agis, didn't he? When he got injured, he scored a couple of goals, didn't he? Last season, played up top. He come on up top, didn't he? Scored 2 goals and got injured and went back off. That's got to be his only reasoning behind doing that.
You know desperation when that happens.
It's nothing to base it on, though, is it? You could stick a centre back up there, and he could randomly get you a couple of goals. It doesn't mean it's going to happen again for you for a different side next season, does it?
He did score and have it disallowed though before moving back. So.
Just to put it in perspective, the decision to play it that way has received more heat and criticism than when I actually went 0 up front.
No, it hasn't.
I'm just waiting. If I go complete shithouse and play with a sweeper and no strikers, I'm just waiting for the reactions to that. When I go one
There's
No,
one game-
2-7-1, but the other way.
There's one game left to preview for Sunday's show. Jamie, I'll come to you first because it's Northern Burn at home to Dragons. Let's start with the visitors. Presume you're going in very confident mood.
Yeah, Dragons win 2-1.
No build
That's
up.
it. That's all he's saying.
No talking about it. Just
We leave on
Like-
performance. Yeah, it's just what we do now, and what we do these days.
hey, can you do me a favour? Next time we want to come and talk about Dragons, can you get Wooder and Duggan on, please? Because that's pathetic.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, I'm sure.
You don't want them two on.
He's king of the co-coms, not king of the predictions, isn't he?
Right, what's your Ian, let's come to you before we do predictions. What's the talk going on at Northern Burn? Are you concerned about Dragons being a different beast this year, or are they perfectly beatable?
Well, it depends which Dragons turn up from. Just if you isolate this season, first half to second half, not much cop first half for the first game, fantastic second half. So if they carry their second half into our game, I'll be a little bit more worried. If they start,
We only need one half.
and if I can get 1.5 halves, then I might be all right. I mean, I'm going for that little bit of consistency. The team's already in. It's the same bar. Cannavaro comes in for Udezi, so maybe we might be a little more solid. Sigalco's going to get the 90 minutes rather than getting the hook at half time, and I'm just going to let it play out and see how they get on.
Can I ask which 1.5 halves you want? Because you didn't score in either, so I'll happily take both of those halves if you want, and that's fine.
No, I'm saying I'm hoping to have 1.5 halves against you. That's what I'm after. Decent halves. Yeah, none of the ones I had against Leddersford. Don't either of them two.
I'll bring him. That's fine.
Ryan, I'll ask you first, if I may, for a score prediction for that game.
Oh God, I hate doing predictions. I think Northern Burn will do it, man. I think
Clearly pissed. Clearly pissed. Look at him. Clearly pissed.
I literally just got off taxi duty, mate. Just got off taxi duty. Got in the house, for my first beer. That's how much gone. My first beer.
He is,
But
however, screwing his hand to the table.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, it's one of them. I'm going to back Northern Burn for a narrow victory. But, I mean, there's the thing for this is that I backed Northern Burn for a victory probably 16 times last season.
You backed me every time, and I let you down every time. Why don't you go on, back Jamie? Go on, do us all a favour.
I'll back Jamie just to.
I can't change his mind now. No, I can't change his. No backsies. No backsies.
Steve, what's your prediction, please?
Well, I'm not going to go with Jamie Silly Bollock 7-0 to other side like he did. What I will say is they're still susceptible to concede goals, and in my opinion, they conceded 2 against a stronger forward line. We've obviously got it in the locker massively to score goals. It's a genuine, not a Mick Tech, a 2-1 Burn win.
I think the Northern Burn backline on paper is the strongest in the league, definitely better than Bostock. So I can't see there being I can't see 4 goals being scored. But it's just whether Ian can get his lads scoring.
Now Ryan said that, I'm going to back Dragons to win 5-0. Breezy?
The difference is the only weak link in that Burn side is Toldo, because Toldo loves to throw the ball in his own net.
Well, hang on. Let's just remember, Oliver Kahn wasn't exactly Oliver Kahn-esque last year.
No, but how many times I'd like to know how many times Toldo threw in a 5 and threw Ian under the bus.
Jamie, how many times did Kahn get last year?
Yeah, but he had shit in front of him, didn't he?
Tell how many sixes he had. About 2.
Toldo cost me, I think, a couple of games by himself. I mean, when I lost 4-3 at home to Leddersford last year, And I think that was he had 4 shots on, and like you say, Toldo threw them all in his own net pretty much. But I actually believe Toldo finished the season as one of the strongest keepers in the league, which is why he's kept his place. He was superb for the last 6, 7, 8 games. So I'm hoping that continues.
Ian, as you're on the camera, can I ask you for a score prediction?
Fanciers 2-1.
And Jamie?
Me, I give it 2-1 Dragons.
We must explain, because I've noticed that every time I've said Jamie's name, that there seems to be a real delay in getting from Leicestershire to Wales.
Yeah, it's my internet playing up tonight.
Going international, isn't it? That's why.
Just before we finish, I just want to do a bit of housekeeping. I don't know, Ryan, if there's anything you want to say on this particular subject, but I just want to sort of give a little round of applause to Dimble, who sort of re-put together bits for the Super League website, and I've had a look at it, and he's even given me some editor rights. I think it looks mint. I think what he's done is quality work, and it's only going to get better the more he's given to do. I know I'd already spoken to him about doing the reserve league, and I think it might even have been Ryan put it together from the first 2 sets of fixtures. So someone else has already put that up for him.
It wasn't me. I promise you, I tell you everything that I do.
I still want my reserve team manager sacked. He's not playing the locomotive way. What the fuck is going on? I lost 3-0 to you, and I've conceded 6 goals in 2 games. This shit don't happen.
But
he
no,
got Evanberg is on he got a 4.
But no, big thumbs up to Dimble for the work he's put in. I'm still looking into the possibility of running a Super 7, if you like, where we can all actually put predictions in for each game, and we'll have a little league table. I'm looking to see maybe putting a Google Doc type thing together where everyone can go in that wants to play and just put the scores against their name. My only concern is some of you are such petulant children, you'll be editing each other's scores to make them unrealistic. So I'm trying to do a way of stopping that. But no, as always, the Super League continues to grow. You know, the podcast will be available each week as well this season. We trialled it a few times last year. It's got a few.
Can we get the podcast on the website?
Sorry?
Can we get the podcast? And that's a good thing to ask. Can we get the podcast and the links to the shows on the website?
Yes, I do believe, obviously me and Dimble have spoken about a few things off air, and any blogs that I write and things like that, he does think can go on there. So yes, all the links to such things should be available on the new website.
We should probably get Swan involved. I mean, it's great work by Dimble. Yeah, I like all your works there. It's absolutely everyone who's been involved with it. I've given Dimble some info. That's what I've done. That's all I've done. You know the kind of fixture packs that I sent you all in notepad form. Basically, Dimble had all 14 of them, so he kind of had full kind of basically everyone's fixtures. I also sent him the Super League history in terms of basically when I scoured your blog a few months ago to kind of get all the final league tables and as much as I could get off them, and the kind of the Super League previous players who won it. So that's what I've given Dimble. The only other person I think potentially get involved in that is Swan. Obviously, he loves doing his stats, and I think he'd be quite a good person.
Great work last year.
Yeah. So and maybe, I mean, Hodgie kind of put a thing up. He kind of at the end of his season, basically that sometimes we do some Super League kind of announcements and some rules and things like that, and it kind of gets lost in the chat. So maybe something that we kind of get exact transfer rules and exact halftime rules, and places for actual Super League updates. It might have to.
Having spoken to Dimble, I know he's happy to have and get as much of that sort of stuff on it as possible. So any ideas anyone has for further enhancing the great work he's already put in, I'm sure he'd be delighted to have your input. And just one other thing, non-Super League related as such, but this is going out to fans and managers for all the Super League clubs. I've been talking to a few people about doing some preview to the Euros this summer. And as of Sunday, the 18th of April, I think it is, that week, basically, I'm looking to do a series of shows. There'll be one talking about just the England squad. There'll be one looking at England v Scotland, one looking at the other nations and other bits and pieces. So keep your eyes out for that. And if you want to join in, yeah, well,
Wales.
You might think about Wales. If we got much to discuss with Wales, maybe they'll come under.
I don't know who got further in the last Euros, Wales or England. I don't know. You tell me. You tell me who got further in the last Euros. I don't know.
But yeah, maybe Wales will come under the other nations tab.
Rest of the world.
But yeah, as of I think it's Sunday the 18th. I think I've basically got one show planned every day that week. So anyone who wants to jump in any of those, you are more than welcome. But as always,
absolutely no chance that I'm jumping on a show with you when you talk about the England squad. Fucking your Manchester United fucking sunglasses on and you fucking.
Who are you talking to now?
You. Last time when we were in chat talking about the England squad, and you're like, I think Lingard should get in there. And
never. You're just making up shit now.
It's definitely the best right back we've got. Oh, Jack Grealish, way better than Nathan Mount.
Wan-Bissaka is the best defensive right back.
Oh, getting the nowhere near the squad. If Trent isn't getting called up, because we're going to be playing three at the back.
We're not.
Like safety. There's three at the back and two holding midfielders.
Before this turns into chaos,
he loves to play safe.
Before this turns into chaos, I'm going to stop the recording before you guys start ranting about the England squad again. But until next time, Super League fans, thank you very much, and we will speak to you all Sunday.
Good night.